Online testing has become a staple of the job application process, whether that be for degree apprenticeships, graduate schemes, or other roles. And at first it can seem like a pseudoscience. It doesn't really seem based in reality. There isn't sort of a strategy, there isn't a practice you can do. You sort of get given a game-based assessment which tests how quickly you're moving the mouse or clicking the mouse. You get given a bunch of pictures and you have to click the right one that represents your personality. It doesn't seem based in reality, it just seems random. It seems like luck basically. You just have to hope the algorithm thinks you're a good fit for the organisation. But there is a strategy and there are tips you can implement to improve your chances in this online testing. So that's what I'm going to do in this video. I'm going to go through all of the different types of online testing you could be faced with, and I'm going to give you the strategy, the tips, and how to practice for this online testing so you can transform the online testing stage from some random luck-based game that you're competing in to bringing that control back in your hands so you can make sure you improve your chances and give yourself the best chance of getting through to the next stage of the application process and getting the job you want. Welcome to the online testing full guide. Okay, so when it comes down to online testing, this is basically something that is going to happen after your initial application. So you're going to do your online application, then it's usually online testing, and then it's usually the assessment centre, and the assessment centre has the interview, group exercise, presentation, all that. And so this middle section, it can be online testing and or a virtual interview. So that's just something to bear in mind. So you submit off your online application and it can be within 24 hours, someone reads it and you get passed to the next round and you get sent through the online testing link. So that basically means when you send off your online application, you need to make sure you are checking your emails every single day to check for that email, because it could be 4 months, right? One of the ones I applied in December, and then I think it was March when they came back to me with a link to online testing, right? So it could be 4 months, but it could be literally one day. Like other ones I applied to in November and December, the next day I was getting an email saying I'd got through to online testing. And this is where you need to make sure you're careful with your organisation timing, because these emails are going to say something like, you must complete within 3 working days, okay? So that link is only going to be active for 3 working days from once it's sent. And if you miss those 3 working days, if you don't do the online testing within 3 working days, the link expires, you're not getting the job. It's not negotiable. They have thousands of applicants, right? Do you think they can really be bothered to, like, if you miss it, reset your link and all of that and sort it out just for you, when to be honest they got 1,000 other candidates? But second of all, it's like, it's not a good look, is it, if you miss the deadline and you didn't meet that, your timing isn't there, your organisation isn't there, they don't want you anyway, right? So you need to make sure you get this deadline. And that's why checking emails is so important, because say you submit this on a Thursday, you submit your online application on a Thursday, and they come back to you on the Friday saying, congratulations, you've got through to the next stage online testing, you have 3 days to complete this. They're not going to do working days, anything like that. It can literally be 3 days. Say you don't check it on that Friday, you don't check it on the Saturday, you don't check it on the Sunday, you better hope you're checking on the Monday, because if you literally just go 3 days without checking your emails, then it's gone, okay? So when you are in the process of applying, when it's that like period of your life, when you're applying to loads and loads of companies, your emails need to be checked every day. And this is why, as a side note, I also recommend just making a completely separate email for your applications, because it means you have one dedicated inbox just for your application emails. Whereas if you use like a personal email where you're getting loads of like mailing lists from like Instagram and YouTube and like Moodle, then you're gonna like lose it, you're gonna miss it. When you're like 20 notifications each day, you're probably gonna miss an email. So have a dedicated email, that's just a separate tip for you. But make sure you're checking your emails every day so you don't miss that link. Can be as short as 3 days for you to do it. So make sure you get it done in that window. So now that you know when online testing is going to happen, let me go through the 6 different types of online testing, and I'm going to give you the strategy for each one and how you can practice each one. Now I have this book in my bedroom. I've had it since I was a child, and this was my favourite book basically as a child to read. This book, it's called Train Your Brain to Be a Genius. So it was published in 2009, and I used to just love reading this book. Like the section about Mozart, like how Mozart got so clever, things about like sleep, how to improve your brain, all that sort of thing, about your senses, like the different regions of your brain, memory, personality, all that different things. And let me just go to a certain page. This was a page that always interested me. I just thought that this sort of thing was really cool. And it's this page about spatial awareness, right? So one of the sections this book talks about is spatial awareness and being able to think in 3D. And the book had something called like brain games, where it would give you a topic like spatial awareness, for example, and then it would give you like questions to like test yourself. So you can see brain games There's ones in 2D, so there's like matchstick sort of games that you play, and you have to, like, you know, the sort of questions where it's like move 2 matchsticks to like make 3 squares or something. Do you know what I mean? That sort of thing. And then the next page here was about seeing in 3D for spatial awareness. So it was things like this, like if that's the view from the top, if that's the view there, what's the view from the top? Or which of these are actually, which 2 are the same, because they're all slightly different, you're seeing it from different angles. Or like find the shape that's in there, you have to picture it visually and what it actually looks like. That was something that really interested me. So I used to practice those sort of questions a lot when I was a child. And that came in extremely useful when I came to applying to my degree apprenticeships, because the first type of online testing you can have is reasoning/logic questions. So I'd done loads of that stuff from when I was a child, reading that book basically. And also you might have done it as well. So the 11 plus, if you'd gone to a grammar school, for that you had to learn things like verbal reasoning, non-verbal reasoning, that sort of thing. Those are the sort of questions we're talking about. That is the first type of online testing. So sort of questions you're going to get are verbal reasoning, non-verbal reasoning, inductive reasoning, deductive reasoning, spatial awareness, spotting patterns. Basically, they'll give you 3 images and you have to like say what the 4th one is, or they'll give you like a whole table with like 3 missing things and you have to work out what the missing things are and work out the pattern. So like maybe you'll see, oh, it's alternating between black, white, or it's going from circle, square, like that can be a simple sort of thing. Or it can be something more complicated, like the arrow on this picture is pointing to 4 and we have a square, as in 4 on the clock, or the arrow is pointing to 6 and we have a hexagon, or the arrow is pointing to 3 on the clock and we're having a triangle. It's about spotting patterns like that. I'm going to put a few examples on the screen right now for you to have a look at. It's these sort of pattern-based, spatial awareness, inductive, deductive reasoning questions that they're testing, and it's like the sort of thing they probably have on an IQ test. Like, I don't know, I've never done an IQ test, but I imagine that's the sort of thing they probably have on an IQ test, like testing how you work with logic and reasoning and patterns and different sort of problems like that. So if you've done this before, then this is actually good news for you. If you owned that book, shout out to you. Or if you've like done the 11 plus and you remember those verbal reasoning, non-verbal reasoning, spatial awareness, pattern spotting sort of questions, that's good news. But if not, don't worry, because I have a website for you where you can practice all of this, okay? And it is called SHL, okay? You can go on this and there are free practice tests, basically free tests for this inductive reasoning, deductive reasoning, like all this sort of thing. You can just, I'll put a screen recording on screen right now of the sort of tests they have. And this is where going on this one is a really good way of just like refreshing these sort of questions. So go onto this website, SHL, and check out those. I'd recommend inductive reasoning and deductive reasoning, because that's really going to help you, because that is a common one these companies do in their online testing, is this sort of logic, reasoning, puzzle sort of questions. That's the first type of online testing. Now the next type, which I think is really common, is situational judgment. So it's sort of the clues in the name really. They're going to basically give you a bunch of situations. They're going to say, you're at work one day, someone comes to you with this problem, what do you do? And then A, B, C, D, they'll give you 4 options. You basically have to choose the one you do. And obviously as a company, they've decided we want someone who's going to do this, like option C or whatever. We don't want someone to do the person who clicks option B. Don't overcomplicate it, first of all. That's my first tip. Straight away, you can see one that's bad and you can see one that's neutral, okay? That is usually what you can see with these sorts of questions. And that's really going to help you straight away. Just get rid of the bad. If they're basically asking, what would you do? Because they have different formats. Sometimes they're like, choose most effective, choose least effective, or like rank them. There's always one that's like just straight up bad. Like you're straight up just doing something wrong. It's like if one of the situations was you're at work and someone comes to you with a problem, what do you do? And it's like, ignore them because you haven't been assigned like, obviously if you ignore them, that's just not going to help. Or like, you just tell them to go away. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's obviously going to be a bad one. So that's the first thing to do when you've got these situational judgment questions and it's asking you what's the best one to do. Straight away cross out the bad one, okay? Get rid of that one. Then you're going to get a neutral one. You're going to get one that is like, it's neither good nor bad. So there's going to be a bad one, which is like actively negative, like something that you're actually doing something wrong, you're like hurting the company. Then there's going to be a neutral one where you're like not doing anything bad, but you're not doing anything good either. And you want to make sure you're having a positive impact. So straight away get rid of that neutral one. So then you basically have 2 ones that are going to look decent, basically. And sometimes you'll be able to just see, right, this one's amazing, this one's just good, let's choose the amazing one, right? But sometimes you're going to end up with two good ones and like you're not really sure because they're quite similar. And basically the way to help you through this, and this can actually help you with the whole thing, is basically thinking about the company values, okay? That is what's going to basically help you differentiate between two ones that seem like both good but you're not sure which one to do, and it's to think about the values. So let me give you an example of how you can incorporate values into a situational judgment test. Say, and this is common with a lot of companies, probably the company you want to apply to, you check it right now, check their key values, it's going to be one of them. One of their values is going to be like collaboration or teamwork or unity, okay? So that basically means if you get a situational judgment question about like, you have to do this new project, what do you do? Spend loads of time working really hard on your own, or would you bring in the team, ask for feedback, collaborate on it, that sort of thing. Obviously, those two both seem good, right? That's what I'm saying. You could get rid of the bad one, get rid of the neutral one. You have two pretty decent ones. Like, yeah, hard working, that's good, I like that. Or you collaborate with the team and work that way. Differentiate between those two is going to depend on the values of the company, the culture of the company. This is how you're going to differentiate between them, right? So if you're working for a company, their values are like collaboration, teamwork, unity, then you're going to know that the best one to choose in that situation is the one where you collaborate with the team and share ideas to provide insight on the project, right? But say your company's more of like driven, like we want results. I don't know, maybe it's like a fine like investment company who like they just want you making like $1 million in trades in like a year, right? They just want you like dedicated getting money. Then that's one where you choose, I would just work for 8 hours, put all my time into it, no distractions, and I would complete it to the best of my ability. So that's how you're going to differentiate between those two good ones, is basically by using the company values. Not a lot of people know this. Using the company values is the best way to decide which one's the best one, because you basically want to say that you have the same values as the company. So when you choose the option that you would do, which involves collaboration, you're saying that your own value is collaboration, and then the company are going to see that and be like, well, our value is collaboration, that seems like a good hire. Whereas if their values are collaboration, you've chosen the one which is independent, like grinding, like driven, like just getting on with the work, they're not going to like that, right? So you have to make sure that the choices you choose reflect the values of the company. And just also a thing here, I would just going back to the start where I said get rid of the bad, get rid of the neutral. Don't worry too much if the two good ones, like it's difficult to decide between, like you're not really sure, you've had to think about the values, but it's still a bit ambiguous. Don't worry about it. The one that's correct is going to be full marks, but like the one that's also good but not as good, you're going to get half marks, all right? So don't worry about just trying to get like the full marks one and like spending loads of time on it and then running out of time. Just make sure neutral, bad, have a think about the values. If you like think about it for a minute and you still can't get it from the values, just choose one, don't worry about it, because you'll have still got half marks, okay? So just don't spend too long if it can get difficult, because some of them can be tricky. Just here's the strategy, here's the like workflow to go to when you get a question. Read the question, immediately get rid of the bad one, immediately get rid of the neutral one, then look at the two ones that are left, the good ones. Think about what the company values are. Think about what the sort of person the company would do in terms of values, and then choose that one. Or if you're not sure and it's ambiguous, just don't worry about it. Just click one of them. You'll have guaranteed at least half marks, and just continue with it and just keep doing your best on the rest of the questions, okay? So that is the situational judgment, and there is one way to practice this, and this is a website called Assessment Day, and you can see the screenshot on screen of this website. They just give you a full situational judgment test, so that's something you can check out if you want to practice situational judgment tests. Okay, so the next one is numerical. Now this is a common one as well. I actually got this in quite a few of mine, and it's basically mental maths that you need to be prepared for, okay? And again, this is an online testing one that I think is valid from the companies, because I think obviously they're going to want someone who's got good numerical ability. So you need to make sure you're practicing your mental maths. Like you just need to like, if you have a GCSE maths calculator, there's like a function where you can get it to like test you on mental maths, or just go on the internet, just like Google mental maths. Like if you haven't, maybe you haven't done like mental maths since like primary school because you've just used a calculator, but make sure you're good on that, and not just like your 9 plus 5 and your 4 times 3. You want to be working up to numbers like 7 times 13 and being able to do that fast, right? Or things like 16 times 9 and being able to do that pretty fast, right? Because that's the sort of numbers you're going to be getting to. So one of the most common way they do the numbers, and I think several companies have actually used the same software for this, is what's going to happen is a big number is going to flash on screen, okay? So it will start off being like 2, it will start off being low, it might be like 17 or something, And then there's basically going to be 6 numbers down below. So it's going to be a big number, 6 numbers down below, like options, like 2, 5, 6, 8, 3 or whatever. And then there's going to be like an operation. Like by that I mean plus, minus, times or divide. So let's say we had 17 and then we had a plus. You basically have to look down these numbers and see which two you click together to make that. So you'd see 17 plus, then out of the options you'd have a look 9 and 8, okay? And then you'd see something like 63 times, look down the options, 9 and 7. Okay, so it basically starts like that, like low 2-digit numbers, and it's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger, and eventually you're going to be working with like 3-digit numbers. You might have to click 3 at once. Like you might get given something where you have to do 2 times 3 times 7 or something. But that's the most common software they use, and it's a time-based thing. So you sort of have like a bar of time that goes down and down and down, and each time you get a question right, it goes back up again and gives you like a bit more time. So you basically want to just be working through this as fast as possible, trying to basically go on for as long as you can. Like when I was doing it, I was on it for a decent amount of time. I was getting to like the numbers were like 3 figures, and to be honest, I was sort of just getting into the zone with it. I was getting in flow state. Check out my video on flow state if you want to know how. That's the best way to do this, because it's sort of difficult to describe really, but you're going to have to just take my word for it, because this is going to sort of sound like I'm lying or something. But when I was doing this, I was basically just able to do sums that I couldn't even do. Like it would show some random number like 245 and then times, and then I'd have to work out like the 4 numbers that I did, and I was just able to do it like sort of non-consciously, like subconsciously. Like it sounds like I'm lying. If you think I'm lying, okay, fair enough, just skip to the next section, don't worry about it. You'll probably end up on 2 digits or something, right? That's fine. But genuinely, I think getting in a flow state makes this so much easier, right? Because when you see like 132 pop on screen and you're trying to consciously think about, okay, which numbers do I multiply to get to this? It's a lot more difficult. Whereas if you can get into flow state, then it's going to be so easy for you because you're doing it unconsciously. So I understand that might seem like waffle, right? But if that sounds good to you, like being able to do something unconsciously without even thinking about it, then I want you to check out my video about flow state. It's to do with interviews, but you can apply it to this online testing stage. It's to do with a ritual. So if you have a ritual before you do an interview, you're going to get in flow state for the interview. So if you incorporate a ritual before doing this type of online testing, it means when you get to the numerical testing, you're going to be able to do it so easily because you're just going to be hitting numbers that are completely unconscious. Okay, right, the next one we've got is verbal response. And this is actually the final section that I think is valid, okay? Because there's 6 different types of online testing. This is the 4th one. And I think this one's the last one that is valid. And then the last 2, they're just not valid. But let me just go through this one first, and then we'll get through to the last 2, and I'll explain why I don't think they're valid. But verbal response is basically going to give you, it's going to like simulate like an email program or like a text message program or whatever it is, and you're basically going to get it's going to like simulate an office day or whatever, and you're going to get given like 10 emails from different colleagues, and it's going to give you multiple choice on how to respond to them. So you're going to be getting emails on all sorts of different subjects from different people. And that's the first thing you need to check, because one of the first things that this is sort of assessing is how well you deal with like formality and addressing your audience, okay? So when you get a message, check who it's from. If it's from your manager, okay, you don't want to be like doing some informal like slangy answer that's not really, do you know what I mean? If it's like from the CEO of the company you work for, like you better be signing that off with like yours sincerely, like dear sir, do you know what I mean? You want to basically think about formality. If it's someone who's like a fellow degree apprentice, then you can get away with less formality, basically. So that's the first thing you need to think about in this one. It's the main thing people think about. It's the obvious one, formality. So just check who's messaging you, and just make sure the presentation of your message, how you're saying your thing, like the tone of it, make sure it fits the person. And now that's where a lot of people stop. They just think, okay, I've got the tone right, I've got the formality right, that's fine. But there's also a second part of it, and it's got to make sure the content is good as well. Because say it is a manager and you get 4 multiple choice, you might get like 2 ones that are slightly informal and 2 ones that are formal. How do you differentiate between the 2 formals? And it's the same with the situational judgment. Just get rid of the 2 informal ones first, right? And then you've got the 2 formal ones left. Even if you click the one that's like second best, you'll still get half marks, okay? So that's why like formality, I've stressed that first. That's the first thing to just cross some things off the list. If it's the wrong formality, like it's too informal or something, straight away cross it off, okay? But then when you've got like 2 left, the next thing to differentiate them is content. How well is it like delivering the message? So if someone asks for information on a project and then you only give like, and then you like say, oh, it's doing this, okay? That's decent. But say you had a similar message in terms of formality, but it said, okay, we're up 3.5%, but I need to do 3 more things, which I'm going to complete by 5 p.m. today. Can I just get your confirmation? Like, formality is the first thing, but then it's content. If you're just sort of saying some like generic message, like, yeah, the project's going well, thank you very much for your email, yours sincerely, whatever. But then you've got which is saying, yes, the project is progressing well. We are 95% into it, but I'm going to need to request an outcome. Would you be able to do this from 4 p.m. today? That has a lot more specific content that's going to be more valuable. Because whereas the first one, you're just going to say, yeah, it's going well. That person doesn't know any detailed information. They might have to email you again, asking more questions. If you can be more efficient and more detailed in your response, it means they don't have to waste time like asking more and more questions, okay? So that's the first thing. Get rid of formality, then look at the content. Is there one that is better because it's more specific on numbers, it's more specific, it's asking more questions? First formality and then content, and then you'll do fine in that verbal response question. Now, as I said, these last 2 are not valid. I don't know why companies do this. I don't know how they get away with it, but they get away with it. I don't really like see how it has anything to do with the job, but whatever. And I think this is where online testing just becomes like a pseudoscience. I'm not really sure about this one. Personality tests. So this is one that I saw I had quite a few times. Sort of personality tests, and one way they do it is images, right? So you're going to get given 2 images on the screen, and you have to choose which one like suits you or like feels good to you or like is more appropriate to you or something. So it'll be like, and it's like stock photos. Like it's like Getty images. Like it's like an example would be like one where it's like it's like a person at a desk. It's like you Googled into stock images like desk in sunlight with laptop on table, right? And then there's one here which is table with colleagues in suits. They look like they're laughing and 3 of them are wearing glasses, right? That's the sort of thing you're going to get. Either like an office with a desk with a table with like this like a blurred person like there, or like a stock image of people sitting around a table, and you have to choose which one. Okay, so, and this is going to happen about 100 times. I think it might even have been 120. One of the ones I did, they had 120 questions of this, of picking different ones, right? And with that one, so like a desk and like a bunch of people at a table, I think what they're trying to get at is this one represents collaboration and this one represents independent, right? So the way to get through these personality tests basically is just think about the values. What would the company prefer? So when you see someone at a table and someone at when you see someone working hard at a desk and you see someone working at a table with loads of colleagues, to be honest, I think for most companies, they want you to pick that one because they care more about collaboration. Like you sort of just have to think about what they are probably look like. What is this supposed to symbolize? So it's like another one, because that one I can sort of understand. Okay, maybe it's like asking you, okay, would you rather be independent or would you rather be collaborative? Okay, maybe I see where you're coming from. Some of the ones I did, this one's a picture of a lake and there's a kayaker in it. This one's a picture of an astronaut in a spacesuit in space. What is that? Okay, so it's like, you gotta just go into this, to be honest. Like, you just gotta laugh a bit, otherwise you're just gonna get annoyed. You just gotta be like, right, okay. You just gotta like laugh about it a bit because it is a bit ridiculous. Like, I don't know who comes up with these. You just gotta sort of like, imagine you're in GCSE English language. You know when you're in GCSE English and like, and the phrase just says like the door is yellow, and then your teacher says, so because it's yellow it signifies that there's a danger behind the door. The writer is foreshadowing us of the dangerous events that are going to take place and go into a dangerous spiral after the protagonist walks through that yellow door. It's a gateway into the gates of like, do you know what I mean? We basically have to do that during this personality test. You got to look at this kayak and be like, this kayak is on Earth, right? So this is representing someone who's not willing to go past their boundaries. They want to stay grounded on Earth and within their capabilities. This person's on space. They're about exploring new boundaries, pushing themselves, professional growth and development. They're about creativity, innovative, new ways of like expanding our horizons. it's got to be done, okay? I'm sorry, I don't agree with it, but it's got to be done. So that is how you get through those sort of personality, like picture ones. It's just, imagine yourself as an English teacher. You're getting paid to teach a class of GCSE English students, and you have to like micro analyze like everything, okay? And that's how you do it. So whatever picture it may be, like it might be a picture of like a musical instrument and a football, right? And it's like, a football is just about playing an ordinary game, whereas a musical instrument requires skill and dedication and stuff. Like, so I would choose this one because it would make you seem like more technical. Like, you know what I mean? It's rubbish. Like, bro, have you seen the skills a footballer can do? Like, probably more technical than a do you know what I mean? So it's just one of those. You just got to microanalyze, try and think about what the values are trying to say. And to be honest, it's sort of a bit of a luck-based thing. That's one that I can say right now is pretty luck-based. Like, you can do the best you can in terms of trying to think about collaboration and creativity and which image inspires that. But to some, it's like if you were to get rejected from an application stage after doing a personality test, I wouldn't recommend you lose a single like second of sleep. Like, you're gonna lose no sleep after that. Actually think about that. You chose a picture of a kayak rather than a picture of an astronaut, and they rejected you from the application process to be a electrical engineer. Like, how does that, do you know what I mean? Okay, so don't get downhearted if you do a personality test and fail. Like, you didn't want to work for that company anyway when they were trying to assess you on some rubbish like that, okay? So do not lose any sleep over it. Just keep going, keep trying for another job. And that's pictures. Another way they do it is with words. Words is much easier, okay, because you don't have to like microanalyze. So the words will be something like, I'm good at working in a team, or I like try really hard to learn new things, and you have to like rank them. And the trouble with this one is like they all seem good. Like learning new things, collaborating as a team, like working hard, they all seem good. You want to basically do all of them, but you have to rank them. So that's one again where you just got to think about, would my company prefer collaboration or like independent, like whatever it is. You basically just have to, it's a difficult one because you're basically going to get given like 4 really good ones and you have to rank them or something. So yeah, you just got to just see what you can do there with the values. And now one last thing I would say with these personality ones, so both the picture ones and the text ones, is try and be consistent, okay? Because they have like tests in there which are trying to catch you out. So say you like rank, because they're going to repeat them basically. So they'll do a kayak one and an astronaut one, and then they'll do like an astronaut one and a desk one. Then they'll do an astronaut one and a like team desk one, then a team desk one and a desk one, and a desk one and a kayak. Like they're doing all the combinations. You see what I'm trying to say? It's basically trying to work out if you're consistent. So if you're saying this one's better than this one, but then in a later one you say this one's better than this one, therefore it's better. Do you know what I mean? So try and be consistent with your answers. Remember what you're doing. If you rank one well, if you rank one like really well, you have to make sure you rank it well the whole time, because they have like checks in to check you're not like making it up or trying to like cheat or something. So just try and be consistent, because they are going to repeat different images with different combinations. And now we're getting on to the final one, okay, and this is the game-based assessment. Again, not really a fan of this, but you can't change the way the game's played. You just got to play the game the way the what? You can't change the way the game's played. You just got to play the game the way the game is played, right? That's a new phrase for you. You just got to do it, okay? So the most common game-based assessment is Arctic Shores, okay? So there's loads and loads of companies which are going to do this. So HSBC, PwC, KPMG, Airbus, Siemens, Amy, Arcadis, WSP. Arctic Shores is a really good one to practice for because there's so many companies that use it. Chances are you'll end up having to use it in one of yours. I have a full series on the channel of this, so I have 5 videos dedicated just to Arctic Shores, over 1 hour long. So check out that playlist for Arctic Shores, because that is the most common game-based assessment. And to be honest, just watching that one is going to like prepare you for other game-based assessments, because they're so similar, they just do the same sort of thing. So for game-based assessments, check out that full series I have on Arctic Shores. I go through all the games that they get used and the strategies to use, how to practice and all that sort of stuff, okay? So check out the Arctic Shores full series if you're interested in practicing for those game-based assessments. Okay, so now that I've gone through those 6 different types of online testing, I just want to give you some final advice just to close off this video, okay? And the first thing is, I don't want you to get downhearted if you get rejected, okay? I mentioned this in the personality section. If you get rejected because of an online testing, there's no sleep to be lost, okay? There's absolutely no sleep to be lost there, because you lost because you didn't click the mouse fast enough. Or you lost because you chose the picture of a plane because you like traveling rather than the picture of a tree, and the company thinks like you don't care about sustainability or something. Like, there's no sleep to be lost about it, because it's just some pseudoscience like nonsense, really, to be honest. But it's just the way it is, so you got to deal with it. So if you get rejected, to be honest, when you get rejected, like I got rejected from online testings, just don't worry about it, just move on to the next one, and just keep going on to loads and loads and loads, because the more practice you get with these sort of things, the better you're going to get at being able to do it. So for example, with Arctic Shores, the game-based assessment, I failed it the first 2 times, but then by the 3rd time, I knew what to do. I knew all the strategies, so I got through it the 3rd and final time. So basically, just keep practicing. If you get rejected from a couple, don't worry about it. Just keep applying to more. Then eventually, you're going to work out, okay, in a situational judgment, I need to approach it like this, or in a game-based assessment, I now know the strategies of this. So just keep practicing, do it loads and loads of times. You're going to get better at it. So that's the end of the video. I've gone through all the different types of online testing, the strategies you can use, and just how those tests operate. So hopefully this has given you value, and it's going to help you get through that online testing stage and get to the next stage of your application. If you have got value from this video, I'd appreciate it if you leave a like on this video. Have a great rest of your day. Thanks very much.